You ever had somebody that made just such an impact in your life that you feel like your life trajectory changed because of this one person was involved? You ever had somebody like that? Let me see your hand, let me see your hand, let me see your hands. If you've had somebody that has impacted your life before. Man, when I was going to college, we always had to write a paper for all of our intro classes. And we always had to write a paper on somebody who was very influential to us in our life, but it could not have been anybody that we were related to. So man, I've written on teachers, I've written on coaches, I've written on pastors that have been involved in my life. But the reality is this: every single person that has been impactful in my life, they've done a lot of work, but hasn't nobody done something for me like Jesus has done for me. And here's what I found out. Because I grew up in the church. I ran away from church. Ain't want nothing to do with church for years. Ended up coming back to church because here's what I found out, that the Bible is actually real, where it says every good and perfect thing, everything that you enjoy and that I enjoy in life, it comes from above. It comes from heaven. And so tonight, I just want to talk about this idea of Jesus, how much he loves you, how much he loves me, and not just based off of my opinion, but real deal, what does the Bible got to say about this cat named Jesus? You ever gone to whether it was a birthday party, an amusement park, maybe it was homecoming a couple weeks ago. You ever gone to something you was like, this one event changed my whole life? You ever had that happen? Like your first time going to Disney, Magic Kingdom, and seeing the parade. Your first time getting on a roller coaster, and you said, I'm hooked for the whole rest of my life. Your first time ever having sushi. Y'all don't like sushi? Wait till your palate develop a little more. Maybe you like sushi. Man, remember my first time going out on a date. Boy, mine and that girl's elbow touched, and I thought my world changed. Didn't know what to do. Man, growing up in church, this is how churchy I was. You used to sit by the girl that you liked when you was in church, and you used to pray, old school church. You used to pray that the pastor would say, and now as we pray, everybody hold hands. Boy, you used to pray for the pastor to say that, because it's like, hey, you're not rejecting me, you're rejecting the pastor. You really going to reject the pastor right now? Like, you going to do that? Ladies, don't worry, I'm not going to put you in that position tonight with the guy next to you. But it's been many times that I've been like, man, this one moment, this one night completely changed my life. What if your life can change tonight? What if it was maybe I came here in order to get a giveaway or in order to come and hang out with some friends, but what if it was actually Jesus that had an appointment set with you, that just used the person that invited you in order to get you here so that he can communicate something to you, remind you of who he is. There's a story in Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. We're not going to read the whole story, but I want to talk about it tonight. It's this cat named Zacchaeus. I'm going to call him Zach. Everybody say Zach. This cat named Zach, he was an interesting dude, right? And so this is in the New Testament of the Bible. This is right around Luke, he's writing, and this is the time where Jesus is actually talking. So this is a story about Zach and his encounter, his engagement with this cat named Jesus. Now, to set up the scene, there's some things that you need to know, all right? So this whole thing happens in this area of Jericho. Now, Jericho wasn't just like a normal city. It was a place that had shmoney. Like dummy money. Like it was a place that everybody came in order to do trade. It was a place that whenever you wanted to get inspired by something, you wanted to get that new, the latest drop, the newest clothes, hear the newest music. Like Drake wasn't back then, but like I'm sure they had somebody that back then dropping albums out the back of the Camel. They didn't have a back of a trunk to pass out. See, they had something going on. When you wanted to find out something new, man, you went to Jericho. This place was on and popping. There was so much that was happening. Palm trees and trade and high dollar perfume and money that was going everywhere. It was crazy. And this cat, Zach, that the Bible starts telling the story about, he lived there. Not only did he live there, he was a tax collector there, which basically meant this, but he was loaded. I'm a dad now, and there's something called a dad tax. Some of y'all, it sounds like you know what that is. Here's the dad tax. My son comes up to me. Daddy, will you open this bag of chips? Yes, sir, I will. Open that bag of chips and then dad tax. I got to make sure I take some. Daddy, you open these Skittles? I sure enough will. Open up them Skittles and then dad tax. Daddy, will you help me with my apple juice? Yes, I will. Open up the apple juice, put the shawl in, dad tax. And taxing, getting something to benefit yourself. That's who this cat Zach was. He worked for the Roman government, not who he was. He was a Jew, but he worked for these outside people and was taxing his own people. Like he was literally paying, you had to pay a turf tax to him. In order to do things here, in order to operate, in order to sell, in order to buy things, in order to run inside of my streets, you got to pay a tax, pay up. So this buddy was loaded because all of the money that was there, he was able to charge even more on top of what the government was charging. This cat was loaded, but he wasn't just any tax collector. He was a chief tax collector. What's that mean? He was like a mafia boss. Like he was running, he had soldiers underneath of him that he was running things like a shot caller. That boy was just, he had everything going. He had people doing all the work for him, and he just got to sit back and just count the money that was coming in. He was loaded. He had a lot of influence. He was all invested inside of the corruption. He wasn't just a thief. He was hated. Because everybody knew whenever you saw Zach, he was coming to collect some money. I just gave you money last week. I just broke you off some bread 2 days ago. It's a new day, which means new money given to him. Like Zach didn't care who you were. There was no empathy. There was no heart. All he saw was red and green. He saw evil and he saw money. There was nothing else that was inside of this cat's eyes. And because he was so hated by everybody, literally an outcast, they shunned him from everything. And so he wasn't allowed to go to church and worship. He wasn't allowed to go out to the local sports bar to go watch a game. He couldn't go hang out with people. He wasn't able to be in the common areas of everybody because he was just known as that outcast, that dude who was so corrupt, he ain't allowed to be a part of what we got going on. This is this cat named Zach, but something was missing. He had the money, he had all the power, he had the reputation, and still he was missing something. Why do I say he was missing something? Because the Bible says this: Jesus came into town of Jericho, wealthy place. And as Jesus was coming into town, there was a crowd of people that started walking around him. Here's how I picture it. Y'all watch college football? Y'all watch college football? All right, so on like Saturday mornings, whenever you start to see the tunnels with the college football players, that they start walking down, you got the crowds on all sides. That's how I picture everybody just watching Jesus like, oh my God, there's actually Jesus. Like, he's the real deal. Everybody's watching him. Everybody's coming through. The whole city comes together from Jericho. Zacchaeus, Zach, he ain't no different. He's wanting to see, but the Bible says that he's the exact opposite of me. He's short. I'm 6'7". Zach is 5'7". Like, there's a huge height difference, huge height. So here's what Zach had to do. Jojo, why are you laughing at me? Jojo, we'll compare our height later. Why? I don't know why you laughed. No. So Zach, here's what he did. He went to climb up this tree just to see if he could actually peep out who Jesus was. Man, I just got to see him. Mind you, this is the cat that has all the money, the cat that has all the power, the cat that has the reputation, the cat that he's got soldiers underneath of him, and he's still climbing and searching and going out of his way to do more, to see more, to experience more, to see Jesus. The money wasn't enough. You ever thought the more money I had, the more my problems would get solved? I've thought that before. And then you hear the term or the phrase, more money, more problems. If I got problems without money, how much problems I'm gonna get into with money? I'm gonna get in money problems. You ever thought, man, if I was just popular, it would change so much? That can't be it, because Hollywood is showing us people are offering themselves, but they're popular. So the fame can't be it. The popularity alone can't be it. The having the power and the influence, that can't be it alone. There has to be something more to this thing of life that you and I are living in. Zach, he was in search for that exact thing. So as he continues going, he climbs up this tree, and as he's watching out, he sees Jesus. Now Jesus, this crowd full of people, everybody's celebrating him, everybody's calling on him, everybody's trying to pull at him. He's in a place where there's so much noise and you ever been somewhere where there's so much that is going on, you don't know what is going on? Like you see somebody that they got like every color of the rainbow on, and you're like, what's your main color? And then what's your accent? You see somebody that they're wearing every piece of jewelry that they own all at one time, and it's like, yo, you're doing too much. Exact thing that's going on here. There's everything going on, everything fighting for the attention. And in the middle of everybody calling at, everybody looking at, everybody being around him, Jesus, he stops where he's walking and he looks up and he sees Zach up inside of this tree. Completely surrounded by people, but stopped because he noticed that there was somebody different that was in the crowd. I know what it is to feel like I'm in a room full of people, but I'm completely isolated. I know what it is to feel like I got all these folk around me, yet I'm 100% by myself. I know what it is to hear people say, I got your back, I got your back. Meanwhile, I feel like I'm fighting all by myself, and they're almost throwing jabs to me too. I've been in similar situations before, and Jesus is over here showing Zach that even when you feel that way, even when you've been outcasted, even when you're not right here with the crowd, I'll still stop and I'm still able to take notice to who you are. Zach was seen in that moment. He calls Zacchaeus' name. He says, Zacchaeus, hey, bro, I need you to come down. I need you to come see me. I need to actually go to your crib. Tonight, you cooking dinner for me. You making some brisket. Anybody like brisket? You in Polk County, you got like brisket. We making brisket and we making ribs. I need you to cook for me. Jesus literally invited himself to his crib. How would you feel if somebody invited themselves to your crib and you don't know them and they say, you cooking? That's literally what Jesus did. He said, hey, I don't really know you. I called him by name, said, I'm coming over to your crib. I want you to cook something. you picking up the tab. Zacchaeus welcomes him in. And while they're going through and while they're doing all of this, people started going crazy. Why? Because Zach was an outcast. And so why is this cat Jesus hanging out with an outcast? They basically treated outcasts as people who had cooties. You get too close to them, now you're going to have cooties. You brush up on them too long, then you're going to have some cooties. They didn't want Jesus to be around that, but Jesus wasn't scared of what Zach's reputation was because Jesus saw his heart. So some quick things I want to point out about this story is this. Number one, Jesus sees who everyone else ignores. I don't know if you've felt ignored, maybe even at home. Where I felt, I know what it is to want attention so bad that I'm willing to do the bad thing that will get me negative attention just so that I can have attention. Sometimes it's not about me being a bad kid. It was about me just wanting to be seen. And since I'm not being seen while I'm doing good, I'm going to make sure I'm seen by doing bad. I was that cat. I've been there before. I know what that's like. I was good at it. Nobody should be good at it. Jesus sees who everybody else begins to ignore. The crowd, they saw this cat that was an outcast, but Jesus, he saw this cat that was hungry and willing to learn a little bit more about who he was. Some of you tonight, you might feel invisible, but if Jesus can see Zach in a tree with all these people from this entire city around, please believe Jesus can see you inside of this room right now. Jesus, he calls Zach by his name. He doesn't just say, hey, you, hey, bruh, shout it. He didn't go through and say that. He went personal with Zach in the middle of everybody. hadn't fully formally introduced himself. Zach hadn't spent a bunch of time with Jesus, but Jesus still knew exactly who he was. Why? Because Jesus knows your name. Jesus knows your story. Jesus knows your pain. Jesus knows what you've been going through. He ain't been scattered outside of your life. He ain't been ghosting you throughout life. He's been right there on you, just waiting for you to wake up and recognize him. Zacchaeus saw, dang, I thought this cat would be somebody that was going to be so distant, but rather he's this cat that's right up here close and personal with me. He's different. Then he saw this, that Jesus, he wants to be close. Again, for a rabbi, somebody who was like a pastor, Jews, they call rabbi like a pastor. Somebody who was a rabbi, they wouldn't get close to people who was like Zach, a tax collector, a sinner, somebody who was messing up, the outcast, because the rabbi, the pastor got to stay clean. Jesus said, I'm not scared to get your reputation on me. I'm not scared. Yeah, you might got to hit a crazy pass. Yeah, you might have done some stuff. Yeah, there might have been some things that you wish people would forget. Yeah, you might have not did that right thing at homecoming last year or at prom last year. Yeah, you might have had a really tough summer. Yeah, you might have had a really tough past couple of weeks. But just because they threw you out doesn't mean that I'm going to throw you out. Just because they push you out don't mean that I'm pushing you out. When people pushed out, Jesus showed I'm willing to pull you in. Jesus isn't scared of your reputation, so get off of your own back. Dealing with all this shame and dealing with all this guilt for what? Jesus ain't scared of it, and so why are you putting it up as a wall between you and him? Jesus showed, even with the craziest of folk that everybody else wants to push out, like Zach, I'm willing to step right up in. He's not embarrassed by you. He's enamored with you. He wants to be all up with you. He wants to be all up around you. He's trying to have a real deal relationship with you, not one that's under you. Almost said something. Yeah. You ever been texting somebody that you don't want people to know you texting? What's his name? 1, 2, 3. I'm joking. Don't. Dang, my man got slapped. Like, yo, he ain't be that serious. That's your boyfriend. You ever been texting somebody that you was like, hey, this my little texting buddy? Who's that? It? My texting buddy. Who that? That's something. Ain't nobody. My little texting buddy. You don't even talk English. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, now watch. You ever been that person that somebody was too afraid to say your name? Now check this. Jesus said, I'm not going to do that to you. Jesus said, I love you so much. I think so highly of you. I love you so much that I don't want to just be on the low inside of our relationship, just treating it as something normal and casual. I love you so much that I wanted to be on a full public display, so much so that I'm going to take how you are right now and I'm going to change you and I'm going to make you better from the inside out. And then people are going to be like, how in the world did you go from that to that? And it's going to be just because of how good God has been, because you can't do life with Jesus and remain the same. If you're really doing life with Jesus, your life automatically gets better. It's exactly what Zach began to experience, that Jesus, he wasn't embarrassed by me. Rather, he wants to embrace me. And he saw this, that one night with Jesus completely changes your entire story. How does it change? Because it's not just meeting Jesus. Now it's what do I do after I've met Jesus? I know what it is to have some really cool moments with Jesus at a youth service, and then on Thursday, I go back to wilding out. I go back to crashing out. I know what it is to know what to say in church, and then as soon as school hits the next day, or as soon as that one dude looks at me the same way he did on Wednesday, the beef is on. I know what to do in those situations. But Zacchaeus showed that it's not enough just to meet Jesus. Now you got to respond to what he did. So Zach, this cat who was stealing from people, this cat who was taxing everybody, he began to try to make right on all of his debts. He began paying people back from money that he took, to the point where he said this. He said, hey, God, I'm not even just going to pay back double. I'm going to pay 4 times what I took from people. I want to pay them back because I don't want anything holding me back. The grace, the love, and the mercy that you showed me, Man, I want that for myself. So God, I'm just going to give everything back to everybody else. Because what I thought I wanted was money, but money left me out by myself. What I thought I wanted was the fame, but what good is fame if you're still lonely and by yourself? What I thought I wanted was power, but what good is power if you have nobody to enjoy it with? What I really need is Jesus. Because with Jesus, everything else is able to come alongside of. Zacchaeus, he changed his perspective from achieving everything that he could on his own to achieving something inside of his relationship with Jesus and then seeing what happened. And here's what Jesus ended up saying to Zach. He said this, today, salvation has come to this house. That because of Zach's response to Jesus, he said, today, Zach, you got salvation. You are saved. You have this relationship with me. You're on Team Jesus. Put on the jersey. I've recruited you. I've picked you first round draft pick. You're on the team, Zach. Come over here. You're no longer an outcast. You're somebody that has been fully chosen. Jesus doesn't just save Zach. He restores him right back into his family. Everybody stand up to your feet. Stand up to your feet. See, Zach, he didn't plan on his life changing that day that he climbed up top of that tree. He ain't plan on everything in his world changing. He didn't plan on the whole shift to begin to happen. He didn't plan, I'm sure, on getting saved. He probably just thought it was another day that I'm just going to go out and I'm going to try something a little bit different. Grabbing for anything that might work. You ever been in one of those positions before where it's like, I'm so desperate for something to work that I'm willing to try anything just to find something? That ever been you before? No? Just me? Cool. I've been so desperate for people that I went to the wrong friend group just to have someone to call a friend. I've been so desperate for somebody to like me that I became such a people pleaser, not even knowing who I am, just being everything that everybody else wanted me to be. Just because I wanted somebody to like me. Meanwhile, I didn't even like myself. Zach, he was doing all these different things, trying to figure out how can I achieve something in life? How can I make something happen of myself? And no matter what it was that he tried, no matter if it was the money, no matter if it was the power, no matter if it was the influence that he had, no matter what it was, nothing worked until he got the chance to meet this cat named Jesus. He didn't plan on his life changing that day, but one night with Jesus flipped his entire story. The Bible says this in Luke chapter 19, verse 10. This is Jesus after he finished having this interaction with Zach. He saved Zach. Zach had a complete change of heart. What does it mean that he had a change of heart? Zach was moving left and now he started moving right. Zach started looking for a fight and then he started looking for ways to find peace. Zach was loose with his words and was damning people with his words, and then he flipped and went the other way to where he started encouraging people and blessing people with the words that he was using. Zach, he used to find any way to attack people. And now, after meeting Jesus, he tried to find ways to serve people. Zach thought that he could do everything all on his own, and then he flipped the switch and realized, man, I'm nothing without Jesus. More money doesn't make me great. TikTok influencer won't make me great. Achieving this accolade won't make me great. Having this degree won't make me great. Being number one in my class won't make me great. Those are great things to achieve for. Go for it, have it. But at the cost of your relationship with Jesus, it's dead. Luke 19:10, it says this: the Son of Man came to find lost people and to save them. That the whole point of everything that Jesus did, it wasn't just for you and I to be able to have some cool stories about him. It was actually for people to have a heart-to-heart connection alongside of him. One night can change everything. It changed everything for Zacchaeus when he was out in Jericho. And maybe one night tonight here in Lakeland, Florida at Free Life Chapel at The Blend can change everything for you. Maybe. It ain't up to me to say. There's people that doubted Zach, but he still made it happen. Jesus made it happen, and that was the difference. A lot of people came to see Jesus, but the story talks about Zach's heart. That it wasn't just his body that came, but it was his heart that opened up to see Jesus. And so tonight, I just wonder what would happen if you opened up your heart to meet Jesus. Man, I've met him before. I have my relationship with Jesus. That's great. David, this cat in the Bible, he actually said it this way. He said, hey, God, restore to me the joy of my salvation. Make me excited again. Give me them butterflies again. Like that relationship that you've been in that you feel like it's gotten stale. Nah, man, make that thing feel fresh. Make that thing feel new to where it don't feel bland anymore. That thing feels locked in. But then maybe there's some of you that you've been around Jesus so much that you don't even know if you fully accepted Jesus yourself. I want to give you that kind of an opportunity tonight in order to engage with Jesus in a way that maybe you haven't before.